Season 4 of Invincible has finally concluded, and I gotta say, a lot of y'all, including myself, have been on a roller coaster of emotions with each passing episode. And that's what we're doing today. We're gonna go through each and every episode, put them in a tier list, and see who comes out on top. I just want to get this out of the way. These are my opinions, my thoughts. If you have your own list, drop it in the comment section below. Let's not be strangers now. Without further ado, let's drop that needle. Episode 1 gives us a recap of the world recovering after the Invincible War and the Conquest fight from last season. We see Mark dealing with the guilt that he could have done more to protect the people he loves, and is now dealing with the fact that he might have to kill in order to stop the bad guys for good, which I think is the main theme of this entire season. We see this take place in his fight with Dinosaurus, only stopping himself because the Guardians show up. Now, I haven't gotten this far in the comics, I'm only on the first condominium, but I'm excited to see more of this character going forward, especially because y'all are hyping him up so damn much. We also see this take place during the Sequid invasion when Mark has to murk Russ as the final resort. And the Guardians are standing around all shocked, like, what the fuck did you want him to do? Bulletproof was moving at a snail's pace, and the shield was already at 1%. He's all good in my book. I do like this episode as it shows this slight switch in Mark's mind state and morals going forward. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this episode in A tier. Episode 2 starts out with such an important introduction. Not only do we get the backstory behind Viltrum and the Scourge virus, we also get a little bit of Nolan's parents. Apparently it's a rite of passage to get your face smashed in by your parents, which brings a whole new light to season 1. Kinda crazy looking back with this scene in context because Nolan showed the mercy that his father showed him, but also left like his mother did to him. I'm sorry, can we talk about this man parrying his wife? We also dive deeper into the Scourge virus, an airborne pathogen designed for Viltrumite extinction. Krieg gives the body count of billions upon billions. So much so they built a damn aura ring around their planet with their corpses. After that long introduction, we basically get a buddy cop film with Alan and Nolan going across the entire galaxy looking for specific weapons and weaknesses to use in the Viltrumite war. Speaking of, Space Racer, you are firing this weapon way too much for a one-sided fight. I do feel like they padded the runtime a tiny bit with the Ragnar fights, but I don't mind it all too much. At the very end of the episode, we get Thaddeus revealing to Nolan that he is in fact the betrayer and the one that created the Scourge virus, and promises only to use it as a last resort, bringing this episode to a nice full circle. For the lore alone, this is easily going up in S tier. Episode 3 has us juggling between two different plot lines. On one hand, we have the return of the Flaxons, which I personally find very entertaining. We have the new Guardians fighting them, which is led by the new Captain Britt, who is basically indestructible. Now, Robot's not really too keen on this guy. Him and Monster Girl go through the portal to stop this thing for good, and, well, they get stuck. Oh no, help me, Step Guardians, I'm stuck! I'm excited to see where this goes in the future. I haven't gotten this far in the comics. I've only read the first condominium, but I think eventually Robot's going to be taking a evil turn, from what I heard. And on the other hand, we have Titan and Machine Head. Now, I'm a fan of this plot line to a certain extent. I dig this storyline where Titan's wanting to protect his family, but keeps getting drugged back into the criminal underworld. But I think we need someone other than the Graysons to be fighting them. Like, I kind of feel like this would be a good side story for the Guardians, but for here, it just kind of feels like it's sandwiched in this season for no fucking reason. So on one hand, I'm a big fan of the Flaxon stuff, and I'm indifferent on the criminal underworld stuff, solely because it kind of goes nowhere for the rest of the season. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting episode 3 at B tier. The infamous episode 4. This is the one episode everyone was shitting on, and I gotta say, I can't blame them at all. We paused the entire main plot to give us this B-side story of Invincible and Damien Darkblood, who, might I add, lost all his aura. So they go down into hell to help Satan regain his throne, which, might I add, Satan is voiced by Bruce Campbell, which Evil Dead is one of my all-time favorite films. It's not going to save this episode. Although they did slightly impress me with their needle drop of Rain and Blood. That was a banger. That was a banger. I think this episode is the definition of filler. And if we're going to do filler, why not do a Rexplode episode as a memorial? Kirkman saying on the Escape Pod podcast that we just don't have time for it. This was the time. This was the only episode that does not take place in the comics, and while I do commend them for trying new ground, this doesn't work. D tier. D tier. Episode 5 has Nolan going around on his apology tour while he goes to recruit Mark for the Coalition. First he goes to Debbie, tries to apologize there. That does not go in his favor. It's here where we get brilliant voice acting from both Sandra Oh and J.K. Simmons. It's scenes like this that reminds me that this is a superhero drama at the end of the day. And then he tries art, which,
I dress heroes, Nolan.
That's one of the saddest lines, dog. And it's the small details like Art holding in his panic that shows you how terrified he actually is of Nolan. We get our first official introduction to Tech Jacket, and I gotta say, she's playing a lot more like a support than a DPS. This gender swap thing didn't really bother me at all, but I have two guesses into why they did it. One, to have a love interest for Oliver so he doesn't go full deep on us. And number two, since the comic came out, Iron Man has skyrocketed in popularity, especially with the MCU. So I'm guessing they didn't really want that comparison with Tech Jacket and Iron Man going forward, which would make more sense why she's playing more like a support than a DPS. Now this is where the episode really kicks in, is when the Coalition gets pulled up on by a trio of Viltrumites, led by Conquest. Oliver still hasn't learned his lesson because he immediately goes to rush in and almost gets red rushed. After they do a bunch of space fights, Conquest goes to capture Oliver on a nearby planet, giving us one of the hardest images of the entire show. Bro is lucky his bra came in because he was about to get smashed like the bug that he is. This last fight between Mark and Conquest was something else. Probably one of the highlights of the entire show for me. The intensity of them smashing around this planet, the tug of war of wills, 1 minute Conquest, 1 minute Mark, but Mark is just relentless on that windpipe. And Conquest is trying everything in his power. He's turning Mark into mom spaghetti. This episode is S tier. What can I say? Is it better than 2 though? Yeah, it's better than 2. Episode 6 slows the pace down a lot. We watch Mark recover from his injuries, but we also see Nolan and Oliver bonding over that time. Oliver goes from pure disdain for his father to actually having some sort of father-son relationship. Nolan's training with Oliver is a lot more controlled, a lot more tamer than what it was with Mark.
What will you have after 500 years?
Nah, because this is what it's like being the firstborn compared to being a later born. Once Mark wakes up, they quickly go to Telestria to help the Coalition from a surprise Viltrumite attack. And there Thetis is, just showing off.
Check out the gun show going on over here. Boom! Bang! Firepower!
And my man is throwing it down on Krieg's face. That came out wrong. I've seen a lot of people complaining that this episode is slow. They could have spent less time on Nolan and Oliver. They don't like Thragg's voice acting in this episode. I think it's a pretty good episode. I think it's just sandwiched between 2 bangers. I'm going to put this one in the A tier, slightly above the first episode. Episode 7 had my eyes glued to the screen and my ass glued to the edge of my seat. There was a lot of blood getting spilled here on both sides. We have Battle Beast with a jetpack. We have Space Racer hauling some Ragnars. And Thragg's over there just aura farming. Legitimately, this guy just stood there the entire time until he just snapped. And for all y'all who thought Thragg was a fraud before this episode, I'm talking to you. I'm not even going to pull the comparisons out between the comic book and the show, but I am going to say Lee Pace. Do y'all not know Lee Pace?
You call me boy! I will unfurl 1,000 years of Kree justice on Xandar and burn it to its core!
Thragg and Nolan go down to Viltrum to have a little heart-to-heart as Thragg tries to recruit Nolan back to the Viltrum Empire. It doesn't really go Thragg's way, so he just air bends and punches this man into the stratosphere. Like, this man hit him so hard with so much force that it had a gravitational pull. And Oliver's bum ass tried to rush Thragg like you were specifically told not to go after him alone. Where's your jaw, Oliver? I might do a tier list based on how everyone performed in the Viltrumite War, so let me know if you want to see that. You could tell majority of the budget went to the Conquest and Mark fight and the destruction of Viltrum. Like, this thing just looks beautiful. You have Space Racer up front, the 3 anti-Viltrumites behind him, and it's a pretty good scene of them just digging through the dirt. I do find it funny how everyone's just kind of admiring the destruction. Like, Lucan looks like a fucking teddy bear. And then Thragg comes in with the "No! I choose death!" And then immediately wipes the floor with Thetis, like he should have done on Viltrum a while ago. Not only that, he wipes the floor with Nolan and then proceeds to spare Mark. I really like Mark as a character, but this is a level of plot armor I cannot get behind. Thragg could have ended the entire war right here, and he wants to stop because they're spread too thin. I didn't hear you saying that when you initiated the purge. No doubt in my mind, episode 7 is going up in S tier. Episode 8 is what I would like to call a psychological episode. We see Mark dealing with the PTSD from the Viltrum War as he sees Thragg going around murking everybody that he cares about, including Debbie, Eve, William, Cecil. I do find it strange how Mark went back to Earth after the war and didn't mention conquest at all. Speaking of Cecil, Nolan's apology tour continues as Cecil teleports to the spot where Nolan did this. Now, Cecil does drop a certain number.
Nearly died 2,341 more times, and then we can talk.
Not to compare the two, but you're telling me 9/11 had more victims than Omni-Man's rampage? Right. Thragg and Mark end up meeting in the sky, where Thragg gives one of the most generous deals I've ever heard. Thragg's over here like, hey, chill out, I'm just trying to get laid, pop out a few babies, and we'll be on our way. But his deal is so simple. You don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. We aren't gonna go looking for you, we aren't gonna interfere in your shit. Now, Thragg gives him a choice, but it's not really a choice at the end of the day. And Mark, I know you're still seeing red from the thumbs in the eyes, but pick your battles, dude. Mark couldn't save Oliver on multiple occasions. You think he's gonna save my ass? I would be a stain on the pavement. But Anissa, I volunteer as tribute. I really like the pace of this episode. Not a lot is happening, but also a lot is happening at the same time. Though I do find it strange to leave your finale off with such a cliffhanger. And to cap this all off, we're throwing episode 8 at the top of A tier. And that's my Invincible Season 4 episode tier list. If you have a different ranking, drop it in the comments and go ahead and hit that follow button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I just want to add this in on the end. I see a lot of people complaining about the animation this season, and while I do agree it's not the best, I do have the wherewithal to realize they have 4 animators working on this thing. Cut them some slack. Now, this is Amazon at the end of the day, so I don't understand why they can't hire more people. They got the money, they got the budget. But I'm seeing other people say that the show is going to fall off because it will never live up to the comics. But the show is made in Cory Walker's art style, yet you're comparing it to Ryan Otley's artwork. Like, obviously, Dinosaurus is going to look a little bit different when they're transferring it to a completely different art style. Well, that's my 2 cents on that. Let me know what you thought of Invincible Season 4 in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that follow. Later.